Welcome back, Ben. We are friends of the devil, and we're here. VIVAT GRENDEL, Ben.
VIVAT GRENDEL, Eli. This is episode 7 of The Devil in Detail.
The Devil in Detail.
Our Grendel comic book reread podcast.
Yes, and first, I'd like to say a couple things about last week's episode. There's just two things I want to address, and both huge, just terrible mistakes made by myself. Really, really just terrible. Number one, and I really let you guys down on this. Number one, I didn't even wear a Grendel shirt last week. What is wrong with me? I promised you guys a new Grendel shirt every week until I couldn't do it, which is probably about 10 weeks. But I messed up. I wore a Star Trek shirt. I love it too. Sorry. Number two, Ben was talking about There Will Be Blood, and I'm over here talking about Gangs of New York. Just really bad. When he was talking about the kid, I was picturing in my head Leonardo DiCaprio instead of picturing in my head the kid he accidentally takes his hearing away, makes him deaf, and then kills him. Spoilers.
I wish I knew what was wrong with you. I'm not bad like you are. I'm wearing my Grendel shirt. Oh wait, no, that's my Doonesbury t-shirt.
Doonesbury.
Oh my god.
Oh man, another one of my favorite pieces in my collection is a gift from my cousin Lauren, who went to high school with Gary Trudeau's daughter.
Oh, cool.
And she got me this autographed Uncle Duke sketch with a couple
Very
of
cool.
Uncle Duke stamps. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Well, it hasn't really been a week because we're
yeah, to break
doubling down.
kayfabe, if you will.
Yeah. We're so deadline diligent that we recorded 2 days in a row, and Eli's gonna pull triple all-nighters just to get all the editing done.
Can't wait.
So Eli, what did you do this week?
Oh, this week, Benjamin. Well, I've been to Joshua Tree National Park with my beautiful girlfriend Tanisha to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. When you guys are watching this, we'll be out there, maybe doing some hiking, maybe doing some grilling and eating. And one of my favorite things to do on vacation, I don't always, and also since like going to vintage stores or going to a museum or something, which I enjoy doing, is not an option really. So we're going to be doing a lot of comic booking. So I got a whole stack ready to take, and probably going to catch up a little bit on my Omnibuy, and it's going to be great. It's been a great week. I've been creating. I got a little shout out from Ed and Jim over on the Cartoonist Kayfabe board, and I printed them up a couple red rooms that are on the way to them. Thanks for digging it, dudes. And this week's Grendel shirt is Epithacia from eBay. Not a cheap one.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
I had
What'd you do?
I had a meeting today with my my new 16-year-old comics protege.
Wow.
Shouts to Dominic. So this young man, his uncle gave me my first paid published indie comics art gig.
Wow.
About 15 or 16 years ago, something like that. Not my first credit, but my first where I drew the boards and all that. And we've stayed in touch over all these years. And he messaged me and said, "You know anyone who can talk to my nephew about doing comics?" And I said, "What better way to pay it forward?" And
pay it back, really?
Well, yeah, right.
A little both.
Here's the kicker: the kid's really good.
Nice.
So it's
makes it way easier.
It's a real pleasure. He understands that now is the time to put 6, 8, 10, 12 hours a day in front of the board, especially in quarantine, especially when he's in high school, and he's making games and doing all the anatomical hand studies, and he loves the David Finch YouTube art tutorial YouTube channel, and he's good. And all the stuff that I can give him is just tricks that I've picked up over the last X decades. Or,
you've been making books for a minute.
Yeah, I've been doing a few things.
Yeah.
Not always consistently, but I've got a grip of pages and books under my belt.
You got GPs.
We did all kinds of perspective tricks and all that stuff, and you know, I could see the kid's mind being blown. I was like, man, you got to teach me how to do those forearm muscles. So it's, anyway, so I had a really good time.
Nice,
doing that. Yeah.
Well, that feels good.
Yeah, he's quite good, quite talented. Anyway, that's a big like kind of theme with the whole Grendel thing is pulling people into a creative community and making sure that they do good comics, and it's about furthering the form. And
someone older kind of teaching someone younger, like Jocasta and Hunter and Stacy and well, not really Stacy, but
anyway,
why don't you hit me with that theme, DJ?
Hey now.
Yeah. VIVAT GRENDEL. It's like the devil is my best friend. Hunter Rose with the pen to the fork end, or till time end. Like Orion, Jupiter my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
All right, we're back, dude. We are back from the theme. Thanks, Manus, and thanks, Zach, for the amazing theme again. We thank you every time. We're back, Ben, and we're into part 2 of Black, White, and Red.
Yeah, this is the next 4 stories. Eli, I have to tell you that I think that pound for pound, this is going to be my favorite Black, White, and Red episode.
Really?
All these stories are really great. It's really easy to kind of make connections at this point between the content here, the omnibus sequencing, and what goes down not only in Devil by the Deed, but in Kamiko Volume 1.
Perfect.
So they're kind of getting new context now that we're going through everything in sequence.
Yeah, and it kind of seems like almost they grouped them in 4s almost, or maybe because they're of the way they were originally written in 4 issues, that there's about 4 stories in each of these kind of sections, like kind of like a younger Hunter, and then kind of like and like Jocasta region, and then now we're getting into kind of like early Grendel and younger.
Yeah, there's real turning point stuff in here.
And there's start and finish though.
I would counter with the Devil's Vagary story that you had mentioned being shipped with the box set.
Right.
Is going to be in next week's episode, and so that's not as I understand it, that's not a Black, White, and Red story, and it's also not 8 pages long. So
interesting.
It is lumped in there, and it's
because of the time period it kind of takes place.
We'll get there too. Yeah, but being able to kind of dance between the panels and the Art Deco little red squares of Devil by the Deed, that feeling really kind of comes through in here. And our first story is by Troy Nixey, who you're going to teach me a thing or two about.
Yeah, he was an early artist that I got into back in the day. He was someone that I think Jim Mahfood turned me on to, just through, this is where I first read him. It was in this Oni double feature. So I'm going to, as we say, rip inside it, even though it's a self-sealer. But so I have this one. It's got Neil Gaiman's story on one side. Oh yeah, this is my well-worn copy. Because this has a Zombie Kid backup in it too. And so this has, it says it's P. Craig Russell artwork by Troy Nixey. And so it's just a really interesting story. You can tell his style very much from the Grendel stuff.
It's a P. Craig Russell adaptation?
That's what it says, yeah.
Of what?
Of this story, only the end. Of Neil Gaiman's.
Of the Neil Gaiman story?
Yeah, only the end of the world again, part 1, adapted by P. Craig Russell, artwork by Troy Nixey.
Can you imagine a P. Craig Russell Grendel story? Oh my God! Wow, not Troy to get Nixey ahead of myself.
A lot of really cool, and I think he was one of the top 4 underground artists that Ed had mentioned for our interview in Wizard.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so he does Troy Nixey does a lot of really great stuff. I'm not sure, if he's got, his creator-owned title or something that is, what we should say to check out. But maybe I'll do some research and flash it up on the screen right now.
Well, his
But-
stuff in this story, Devil's Mark, is wonderful.
Very nice. Yeah.
There are a few little weird, like nitpicky, why bother, criticize kind of things, and they're like the most minor things because everything else works so well for me.
One of the things you're mad about is that he makes it clear that these are cigarettes they're smoking because filter instead of joints.
This is the first cigarette in Grendel. So it's a story about like a middle-aged gentleman mob assassin who wears red gloves. That's the right. Red.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
And his family, he's got a pretty wife. And he does the normal stuff. He keeps himself busy during his ride home. He reads the newspaper, does the crossword.
That's the assassin's mark you're talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, he's following this guy.
Yeah. Right. The man in the red gloves is the
assassin. Oh man, maybe I misunderstood.
This one's kind of it's tough.
Okay, so then the mark is following this guy around. Peeing next to him, he shakes twice, tucks left.
Yeah,
he's learning everything about him.
Learning all his habits. Yeah,
he loves vintage stuff, vintage wine. Oh, he has an eye on older vintage wine. Mm-hmm. He's a romantic man. He likes candles and jazz.
Yeah, they live. I'm not entirely sure where they live. In a restored brownstone, he takes a downtown express bus. Maybe in Yonkers. Maybe in like Lower Westchester. I'm not totally sure.
Gotcha. This is the first of the sex scenes of this week's stories, of which they all feature.
Right.
They still fuck with vigor, and he pays special attention to her ass.
Though that's not what's happening, as far as I can see in the image.
No.
So that's a big niche. That's a niche to me. The thing that I find weird is the design of the staircase.
Right.
It's got that weird. It looks like sperm or something.
Yeah. Like it would be plaster with these like lima bean holes in it or something.
But otherwise, it's super cool. And is the guy inside his house?
It seems like it. Like we're seeing through. Although we see the assassin at other points, it seems like this is what we're seeing that he's seeing. But as we get to a bar, and then I guess he's continuing to look him over, to follow him, his mark.
Yeah, well, he's looking at his watch. He's like, well, he should be here by now.
Oh, okay, because now here's where they meet, and they kind of, because he knows all the stuff about him, he is able to kind of, generate this friendship where they're perfect friends.
Yeah, and I would also, I'm still on the sex scene page.
Oh wow.
I think that we have a special guest appearing in the background, and that's Hunter.
In which background?
Hunter is at the bar and at the urinal. Oh,
you think?
Yeah. I read this a little more closer than you did, I think.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Anyway, now we're in his office. Not to shame you too hard, Mr. Reader. Believe me, you'll have an opportunity to get back at me later when the crime stuff goes way over my head.
Word. Okay, so now we're at his office. You said he's an investment banker at an established firm. He plays racquetball, but only with people who aren't as good as him so that he can win. He's a sore loser.
That is the exact opposite of what Hunter Rose would do.
Absolutely.
Right? To be a poor sport, to only want like tubby, non-challenge opponents.
Right.
I also really, I'm a little confused what he's doing in the office, but he really strikes me as everything that I hate about the system and finances and all these jerks. He's looking at a roll of slides.
Seems like it.
With scorn. Whatever he's looking at, he couldn't be bothered with his business, his difficult job, looking at vacation slides or whatever.
And he's on the phone, and he's telling his lady to remind him about his game with Aubrey.
Yeah, about his game. What a jerk. Anyway, so the game with Aubrey ends, and they're sitting in this.
They're having a schwitz.
Yeah, they're in an Art Deco sauna. Okay.
Yeah. All right, having a schwitz. And here he meets the assassin, right?
Well, I like this part is where he's sitting with his partner and he wants to talk about his passion for first editions.
Yeah, vintage books.
Yeah, Les Miserables, mentioned last episode. And the guy just wants to talk about football. I'm sure every comic book nerd can totally relate to this panel. I know I sure kid. I grew up with a group of friends who I was really close with who had a very limited patience to humor me about talking about comics.
Yeah.
And I absolutely could not talk about UConn basketball or golf or whatever the fuck. And
I had no idea.
And so we drifted.
I feel you. But I feel like my friends were like interested in comics, but not interested in doing the work it takes to like read a bunch and collect.
No, they just thought I was a fucking nerd.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
yeah. So then this dude
him
from across the Schwitzer, he's like, "Oh, hey, dudes, I got that first appearance of Cratchit you were looking for."
First Cratchit.
Yeah, first appearance of Cratchit.
And the Aubrey is like, "Well, let the nerds talk. This is my cue.
Yeah, he's like,
peace out." And these guys are like, "Thank God the slob is gone. We can finally talk about Pacific comics and
It's an interesting drawing here at the top of the next page too. It almost looks like obviously what's happening is he's drying his face. He's a heavy sweater, and but it looks almost like he's got like a feather boa or something.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's I think that one thing that happens here is that the assassin wears those glasses, but once he takes them off, it's not like the Troy Nixey's faces are, I don't want to say they're a little samey, but when you start getting into the story, you really have to pay attention to who is talking about who.
Yeah, I think maybe that's where some of my issue came.
Yeah,
I was getting a little confused.
Totally. And that's also something that happens. All these stories, not struggle with, but have to wrestle with being in black and white and how they use red. And we will, the red here is to show the guy's red gloves. But what do you do in the scene when they're in the Schwitz not wearing any clothes?
Right.
So it's like the device is gone.
Right. And they also have to, they introduce you to these characters and they're immediately, the main guy. So then you're kind of like, okay, now I got to immediately be with him and on board in his story. And then, it happens. It works.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that all these stories are challenging in a way in that you have to invest yourself and immerse yourself for 8 pages. And kind of, a lot of them have sort of like a twist ending or something, or you have to figure out, how does this relate to Grendel? How does this relate to Devil by the Deed?
Right.
So anyway, so they're in the locker room and, the friendship, it's fast friends.
Fast friends. And they're not even engaging in locker room talk here. They're simply talking more about books.
Yeah. And when they go to the bookstore, here's a nice little Easter egg for all you Gren heads out there.
Got Creon going on, huh?
It's Creon.
So I texted you earlier because I looked up Creon, and you were like, "I already told you that." Did you tell me it in the cast, or?
I told you that like sometime in the last 7 weeks. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. See, I had already forgot. I forgot it was.
It's fine.
It's a Greek god. His sister is Jocasta.
I think he's a king.
He's a king. Yeah.
He's a king. Yeah.
And there's a crown right on the book.
Yeah, there's a crown on the book, and it's funny because Matt lets people kind of play with different visual treatments of Grendel and Argent and all these characters, and also of like the design of the books, because Creon will appear later previously with a completely different like dust jacket design.
Right, and in the next story, I think it is about the book, about his editor or whatever.
Oh yeah, right.
All the books are in that one too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great one. We'll get there. That's the one you say is your favorite.
I love it. Oh my God. Let's savor this one. So anyway,
all right. So they're hanging out. They went to the comic book shop. They're like, they went to his favorite bookseller. He's like, "Can't you join me?" And he's like, "I've got nothing else to do."
Yeah. Well, he says, He says, "I've got the train's not for an hour," so they go to the bookstore and then they get a drink. So they're really. He probably said, "I'll take the next train."
He did say that. Yeah.
Good buddies.
They're finishing each other's sentences here in no
Yeah.
time.
He is, I think, a lonely man.
Easily lured into tardiness.
Yeah, this is very funny.
And lured into some lurid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they go to the Empire Diner.
Yeah, it's he's a fancy guy, but their tastes. Some of his tastes are kind of more middle brow, I suppose, in this diner.
Right.
I don't believe it. You in a place like this? Hey, look who's here. Have a seat. No suspicion at all. Just like this guy's showing up again
in the
and again and again.
And again.
Yeah.
And again.
Yeah. So his wife leaves for the weekend. And
oh, wow. Both of their wives left for the weekend.
What a coincidence.
What a coinky dink.
I really like how she's leaning out the train car window.
Yeah.
Which is like something that I feel like only happens. It's a very like retro nod.
It is, yeah.
Right, because like that you don't do that.
No, I'll just text you. Text me when you're leaving.
Right.
You don't even go like to stations to drop people off. Really, it's like I'll get you an Uber and then.
Well, this is presumably taking place in the 80s.
Oh yeah, and over the course of a few days here, maybe there's like 2 days in between the diner, 3 days between the train.
Anyway, so both wives are away, and so they go to a live review.
Yes, they do.
And the nerd is he just wants to talk books, but eventually he gets a few drinks in him, and they
Eventually he loosens up, he licks his lips and stares, savors it. Jeez, get it.
All right, so finally the next evening, the assassin notes it will be his last meal. Do they make plans for him to come over for dinner?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, come over tomorrow night. I've got a new volume I'd like to show you. Oh, sounds great. Why don't you come over? Oh, that's perfect. That was his plan to get invited over the entire time.
Oh yeah.
So
a chance to share his hobby with a comrade who understands the love. He's like psyched.
Yeah, he's got his first edition Poe.
Mm-hmm. And he's just the assassin dude's just like in the middle of the street, just like putting on a silencer. He's just like walking in. Yeah. I guess the brick wall there is like he's coming around the corner.
Yeah. Well, here's where he explains the plot. It's that a brokerage firm ran astray of one of its biggest clients, a family that tolerates no mistakes. Phil McGinnis, who's the book lover, is the loose link in these shady investments. Right. So if we can get rid of him,
we'll be good.
Kaput.
Yeah. And then who does he run into? Who's the killer run into right here?
Yeah. Who indeed? That's Hunter. Rose. Yeah, and there's another Hunter in the background that we missed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when they're getting the pie, Hunter is there. Hunter's outside spying on them.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Hunter is on the next page in the top right. Hunter is at the girls' live review.
Yeah, he is.
I feel like I saw another one. Troy Nixey really sneaks him in there. Oh man,
yeah, that's awesome.
I feel like there was another one that I had missed somewhere. I don't know. Oh yeah, he's on the very first page.
On the very first page?
On the last panel, the very first page.
Oh right, he's sitting
sitting right
him
there.
And his wife.
Damn.
Good job, Troy.
Wow. So I didn't see all these. Anyway, Hunter's there. He bumps into him. Hunter's a great actor. He acts like a 17-year-old schmuck who's not looking where he's going.
Right.
Watch where you're going, kid.
Yes, sir. I'll be careful.
Yeah, right. Very, very nice. Anyway, he rings the bell, seemingly lets himself in. And then what happens here is that on these last two pages, the narration shifts from the assassin to Grendel.
Right.
And
there's an extra line around his.
There's an extra border on the caption. Yeah. To me, this would be a really good opportunity for the red.
The red border,
to
yeah,
be
but
used.
he already used it for the gloves.
He already used it on the
Prominent.
gloves.
Yeah.
So.
You only get one.
You only get one, I get. Well, in this one, you only
one.
get one. Yeah. So I like this where Grendel explains the methods of the assassin. Only close up. He's a gentleman, a consummate professional. He offers his victims friendship, pleasure, and joy before their inevitable end. What a nice guy.
What a nice guy.
He gave him all those things.
Mm-hmm. This man never stood a chance. The fool.
Yeah. So then Grendel, this is our last page. A nice big splash.
Yep, on those crazy steps.
The assassin works for my employer's enemies. He wears red gloves.
Right.
My
so
victim.
Grendel here comes in and kills this guy before he's able to kill the other guy.
Yeah. He's atop that lima bean banister. It's so weird. And then I really like the art, the ominous, morbid, devilish artwork.
Definitely. It's
Hanging
like
on
a
the
skeleton
walls.
on the beach, and then
What is going on? It's like a devil.
It almost looks like that's a window or something. I don't know.
I think it's a painting of
Gotta be a painting.
a devil on a fainting couch. I first said that was a devil getting a blowjob.
Oh, yeah, me too. It looks like that. But maybe it's got like donkey
goat
legs.
feet. It's like goat legs. Yeah, it's got its knee up. I really like this one.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then the hidden hunters from page 1 is really ups the reread quality
so much.
Yeah, it's easy. You would mention being a little thrown off in the beginning. This is my maybe second time reading this, and I remember the first time I read it, I also was a little unsteady in the beginning because it just like drops you right in. And that's the thing with these black, white, and red stories. You never really know. You have to work with it to figure out whose perspective they're coming from because they're all like radically different from each other.
Right, a true testament to Matt in that he writes in so many different styles, like very much different each one.
Yeah, I would totally be down to read some Troy Nixey comics after this one. This is really, really nice stuff.
Yeah, I think we're gonna find that out. We'll get back to you next week.
Oh man.
And here we go.
Oh my
Speaking
God.
of good ones,
we
were talking about wanting this angle too, like just. When we were reading the earlier stuff too, you wonder all these things. And this is one that really paints a nice picture of Hunter, the author.
Yeah.
Devils in the punctuation.
But it's about his editor and it's made to be all, when you make something all about you, which is a real like, Note to self: don't make it all about you. Yeah. And this guy makes it all his experience as Grendel's editor. He makes it all about him. Yeah. The devil's in the punctuation. I love it. My absolute favorite one.
And the framing method on this one is very cool. They don't reveal exactly what's going on till the end, but it's kind of broken up into these chapters into. And chapter 1 in which we are introduced to the brutally competitive world of Fifth Avenue Publishing.
Yeah, it's like the log line of a nonfiction book.
Yeah, like
right. It takes you chapter by chapter of kind of the discovery and rise of this editor with Grendel's literary star, and the fall of both Grendel and the editor in the story that we already know about.
Exactly.
From Delwedd.
Yeah, and just as we were talking, like what happened to all that stuff? What happened to his books after he became Grendel? Who was reading it? Like
I really love in the lower right there's that little keyhole, a Grendel tale.
A Grendel tale, yeah.
I love little design nods like that. So cool. So this one's done by Stan Shaw.
I was about to say,
yeah.
Are you familiar with it? No, I'm not familiar with his work.
I looked him up. So anyone who works in comics whose name is Stan is not a good Google search term.
Right. Stan Sakai is like the main.
Well, Stan Sakai maybe, but Stan Shaw, all I got was Stan Lee stuff.
Oh yeah.
Stan Shaw's Instagram shows an artist who works in a really wide range of styles, and this airbrush '80s advertising art thing is
Right.
just one of them. I really appreciate that. I feel like I also work in kind of a range of styles. It's usually based on how much energy or how hot I am to get it on the page or what I'm trying to say. But Mr. Shaw really seems to, whether he's doing illustration or portrait work or animation stuff, just kind of like a very broad range of styles. And here he's going to town with the airbrush, it seems.
Beautiful. Really well done.
Yeah.
And it says he did everything too. He did the typesetting and he did the art. So there's no, colors by. There's no.
It's all him, baby.
Yep. And so we're just kind of getting filled in on this dude, Loquitius Bradley, right?
Loquitious, and I think it means talkative.
Oh, really? Oh,
but
yeah.
his friends just call him Kush.
Kush.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's working overworked and underpaid, just like everyone in comics. Mm-hmm. He's working for like a publisher that's been on the decline, and I guess he becomes their submissions editor, and he finds the manuscript to Creon in the submissions pile, and he's like,
he's dazzled.
These are the coattails, baby.
Here we go. I've hunted the Rose myself.
Yeah, man. And the Rose appears here, the only red so far.
Mm-hmm.
And Kush takes it to the publisher or his boss, and
the publisher who looks kind of like, I don't know, a villain from one of the Max Fleischer Superman cartoons, or maybe like
Dr. Sivana.
Yeah, is that
he's the Captain Marvel bulb guy. He looks like a Dick Tracy villain.
He does. Kind of his head shape, though, makes me think of the Borax Kid from Futurama. Do you remember that episode? He's like,
I can imagine, but I'm not sure what.
It's like it's like a crystal head guy or something. Like his head looks like some old cheese or something.
One thing that I really dig about this like sleazy New York publishing douche is kind of like how well he's designed in that role. Right. Like these super broad shoulders and like
almost looks like a Hank McCoy type.
Oh, he does look like Hank McCoy. That's true.
Yeah.
But he really captures this kind of like New York alpha intellectual kind of jerk off thing to me.
Sailing in the summer, penny loafers.
Yeah. Anyway, so he brings Creon into the world, and
you know what this made me want to do? It really made me want to like print up some dust jackets for some books I have to like have like Creon on the shelf,
Oh, that would be cool. And then what's really cool is that every time they release a book, they also run the reviews at the bottom, and the reviews aren't all good.
They're not always good,
which is really interesting. So
an interesting choice.
The reviews for Creon are all good.
Well, it was the first splash.
Yeah, rife with character and intrigue, a smash debut by any standards, important, sensitive, and real. Well, great work, 18-year-old, or
it says 18. Yeah.
He writes with a man 3 times his age, rakish and sophisticated. This young hotshot is Cush's ticket to ride.
Kush got a ticket to ride, but he does care.
And here come the famous, like, Wagnerian high society parties. It wouldn't be a Matt Wagner comic without a swanky ass black tie affair.
And he's with the celebrated young author. He allows himself to be escorted all evening by his ass suddenly hot shit editor, and he's like, pew, 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 and like Hunter's talking to people, and he's like, he's like looking at girls. He's picking up this Prince-looking girl.
Yeah.
And and then
she's not just a girl. She's a literary reviewer.
Absolutely. She's a powerful woman herself.
Yeah.
Everyone at this high society party is the what does he say? The cognoscenti, the literary cognoscenti, the cream of the literary cognoscenti.
This would be a real ethics in literary review red flag that the editor is shacking up with the Times reviewer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for the second book, which is Glee Club, a brilliant follow-up, plays with the novel form, just like all of Grendel. Fresh and vibrant.
Ooh, yes.
Meanwhile, Hunter Rose continues to bloom, and so too does Grendel, forking it up.
Very cool Grendel shot here.
Yeah.
And our third sex scene. Second sex scene.
Our second sex scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they fuck, she moans his full name in short staccato gasps. Locutus, Locutus, oh, Locutus. Locutus, resistance is futile.
That's good. So at this point, it's obvious that Hunter is a hit, and Kush gets promoted, and there's a dozen underlings working under him, and just like in the I don't want to compare it to the Rob Liefeld shoot interview, but it says he handles it quite badly. I wouldn't compare it that way, but Liefeld said, I was a kid working with kids underneath me, and they needed a boss, and I was like, I'm just like you guys. So
yeah.
But Kush, it goes right to his head. He's seemingly a jerk.
Yeah, and that's when everything starts to get a little seedier in his life. The fruits of his success, his sexual stable soon advance. His nose develops a liking for the cocaina. But, every now and then he'll go back to his favorite lady, who is the Times editor. And this is during the time of the next Hunter Rose, Indigo.
Right, so Indigo, a social satire disguised as historical fiction. Okay. A downward slide from a too frisky auteur. New York Times Book Review. That's the first one that's ascribed to this woman, seemingly.
Right.
It's also the first one ascribed to anybody, but he's too frisky, but he is an auteur, so he is a genius. But
and it's also not
quite as good.
It's the first not glowing review.
Yeah,
saying a downward slide.
Still a genius.
A frisky auteur.
Yeah, too frisky. Just like, that's definitely a swipe at Kush, who's at their...
who probably, she found out he's got other ladies or something like that, and she's like...
Yeah. So this is when, like you said, the signs of stress start to show.
Do you think the circle at the top is like Grendel making all those phone calls to... up and down the East Coast or something like that, where the mob bosses are
doing his business.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, Kush, he makes a call to Kush. Is it here where he tells him? Oh yeah, no. The call is a frantic Hunter Rose calling him at 3 a.m. to say, "Never fuck with my wording ever again, such as you did on paragraph 3 of page 237."
Right.
So that's the threatening call.
Right.
And
starts to unhinge there from.
Yeah. Anyway, My Little Chickadee comes out. It's a big.
My Little Chickadee, huge, exhilarating and fresh, riveting, grabs hold with vengeance, overwrought and self-serving. Oh, maybe that's from New York Times.
Well, it was self-serving. I mean,
very much so.
Right, a book that was written to sway a jury so that he could adopt. So an 18-year-old could adopt an 8-year-old.
Exactly.
All right. Or however old she was. All right. And this is where, this is this is the second and third to last page, and it's a spread.
Beautiful.
Dominated by the combat between Arjun and Hunter.
And, so that was like the downward slide that began, and then the review from the Times turns up, missing and is presumed dead.
Ooh.
That's because... sorry. I started in the middle of this one, but it says, it furthers Kush's downward slide. More coke, cheap sex, unpaid bills, and Rose's sudden refusal to accept his calls. The reviewer from the Times turns up missing and is presumed dead, the lady that he was with.
Ugh.
Wonder if Grendel did that because she was giving Hunter bad reviews.
That's pretty much what it looks like.
Yeah, that's definitely
she's dead with the red box over her eyes and the bloody fork right next to her. So
my gosh, I didn't even see the fork because
the fork is right there because of the bend of the book.
I almost forgot to see that.
Okay, so then
A ripping battle is waged here. Grendel's fork is in the bicep of Argent.
oh man, and meanwhile, the publisher is trying to figure out why Kush can no longer wrangle their star, and they fire him.
Fired.
Hunter is taking his next novel to another house.
Yep.
So
Kush is
without
fired.
that's like, why we don't need this guy? Like,
Yeah,
what's the
and
point?
they can already probably see him unraveling too.
Yeah.
Coming in disheveled, not being able to lead all those people, and they're just
yeah,
like,
it's
we
mentioned.
don't have Hunter. Got it. It's
Well,
mentioned.
it's mentioned earlier that Kush is Hunter's preferred editor
Right.
because he's like, this sap will not interfere with me.
Right.
Like this putz is only on for the coattails, so like
Yeah.
he's not going to give me a hard time.
Nope. And on the coattails of the dead man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the final book that Rose writes at the other publisher is called Riptide Reflections, and Kush reads it. He finds it difficult and harsh, lacking in the persuasive charm and insight of the author's earlier efforts. It still debuts at -- 1 at the Times bestseller list.
Of course.
Yeah,
course.
why- yeah,
Hunter
why
Rose.
not?
Everyone's
Yeah.
got to know.
Yeah. So
And Lucius is like on this cocaine binge, and he's like freaking out. He's getting all paranoid. He's sweating, and he just eventually passes out one night from and then that seemingly is the night before. And when he wakes up, the New York Times has a huge, major headline.
do you want to read the reviews on Riptide Reflections?
Oh, we better, yeah.
A timely reminder of the author's mastery, hurried but with vitality, a mind at warp speed. What the hell is Rose? On some level, a very dangerous book.
Oh, and we won't even know how dangerous until the next day. Grendel slain. Murderous, mysterious crime lord led double life as world-famous author. Huge. What a day that would be.
This sucks.
Hugh's world it unravels. First, someone takes a giant bite out of the side of his face. That's just the art, what it looks like.
And then the feds seize all the contents of his office. They file a lien against the publishing house. They relinquish all the profits made on the sales of Rose's writings. His bosses file a suit against Kush for $245 million.
Insane.
That's a lot of money.
What for? Like, because everyone thinks he knew or something, that he was like, that this is like crime money. This is
maybe just to be vindictive. Publishing is, as we know, publishing is not always a nice place.
Right.
Neither is the world. Neither, in a study of human aggression, what is nice?
What is nice?
Anyway, Kush barely escapes. Liquidates his roommate. Yeah, he goes to Jamaica.
Yeah, and he works as like a donkey ride tourist, or if you'd rather, he becomes the first mate on a Caribbean cruise ship. It's kind of like choose your own ending. Yeah, happy or sad.
Whichever you think would make a better ending. The end, and then here comes the twist. What we just read was his pitch to Dynamo Books.
Right.
So whatever ending Dynamo Books thinks would be more saleable, Kush is ready to. He'll do it.
He's trying, and he's like basically selling his life. He's trying to get a book deal for his life story.
Yeah, and then it ends with this horizontal band and a Grendel tale, which is how it started. But that horizontal band is across every single page, and that's where the reviews were.
Oh, right.
So it's almost like a rubber band that holds a manuscript together.
Oh, smart.
I love this one. It's so good. It's so direct. It's so innovative. Visually, it's so cool. Have you ever played with an airbrush?
I haven't, no.
It's not easy.
Yeah. It's
a contrast between getting really hard lines out of masks and templates and getting really soft blushes out of that.
Interesting.
It's and also as a piece of hardware, it's a pain in the ass. If you do one wrong thing with it, the whole thing is, or lose a tiny little piece, it never works again.
Damn.
Speaking from experience.
I mean, Matt seems to do it amazingly. I mean, just think about coloring Mage, all that with an airbrush is insane.
Yeah. Well, here, what Stan Shaw's doing is getting these really hard edges and making these really cool choices. And it looks like he's got, look at the knuckles on Argent, just like all the different planes that he's hitting. You gotta cut out a little mask out of that and then hit it one way and then get the reverse and hit it the other way. And it's just oh man, the work is in cutting and organizing and placing the masks.
Yeah.
That's where the work is. Oh man.
Amazing. It's great. It's amazing. I would really love to see like the original pages for this work.
Oh my God. Look at when he stabs Argent, look at the drop shadow on the blood.
Oh my God.
How it just like pops off the page.
Amazing.
So cool.
Good job, Stan Shaw.
Yeah, really.
I'm going to look into some of his comic work.
Yeah, my very favorite one. It's all downhill from here. No, that's not true. There's, oh my God, the Ho Chi Anderson one. So good.
There's a lot of great ones.
Yeah.
And the next one, we got the Pander brothers. We got a very interesting story. We had said it looked like New Orleans last time, but it's actually up in your neck of the woods in Harlem.
Everything they draw looks like it's in New Orleans.
Yeah, I think you're right. It looks like
although this is
man, it almost looks like there's a Boognish in the window here. It looks like the Ween guy.
Oh, it does. Oh, no kidding. There you go. There's a lot of red in this one.
A lot of red.
A lot of red.
Full backgrounds are basically all red.
It's funny, I don't know a lot of Pander Brothers work. I know this story and I know Grendel.
Right.
And there's maybe how many 13 years between these two projects? And the styles are totally different.
Right.
This is like a lot more distortion, a lot more. The New Orleans is because it's jazzy and it's funky and it's voodoo and it's spooky,
Right.
This one's cool.
Yeah, I like the Panders too. It's funny here on the bottom, we have like a superhero returning, like coming home from the grocery store.
Yeah, I wonder who that is. S&M man?
It is SM, yeah.
Yeah, it might be.
That is.
It's Superman.
And so it's kind of the story starts out. It's these two kind of like crime guys. They're
Rusty Snells.
Rusty Snells.
Rusty Snells. He is I think he's supposed to be like Michael Imperioli, like a Christopher Moltisanti kind of guy, like a junior partner capo.
Gotcha.
I guess. I only say that because when they're hiding out, it's not very like luxurious. But I could be.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
They're definitely in some shady dealings, and there's something about a warehouse here, or the refinery.
Yeah, well, they're up in Harlem looking for info on this guy Toro, and Perseus is his heavy.
Right.
And so they go to the refinery to go catch up on Toro. I love this. I love the refinery. I love the Mike Mignola cubist shadows on the steel silos or whatever they are. So cool.
Yeah, super cool.
The layouts here on these are a little busy, but that's okay.
Right.
The red
breaking the gutters.
Everything's breaking everything. Yeah, everything's overlapping everything.
Yeah.
It kind of adds to the freneticness of it.
Yeah, exactly. Even I think some of it adds to like the darkness of it all, because like, I don't know, it all seems to be like happening at once and fast, and there's no time to even like take a breath.
Well, he's Rusty Snell's the guy under a lot of stress these days.
Yeah. We
learned that he's got a Grendel hit on his head.
And so he's trying to kill the devil, but he gets to this place and he's like, what even is that? It looks kind of like a meth head type of dude. Like a meth head. Excuse me.
He looks totally like a meth head. Yeah. But we already know that is there already a mention at this point that
just that
we're
they're
looking
going
Okay, cool. All right. Anyway, this guy, this meth head leads him down the stairs, and down the gloom, we see Benito Emmanuel Tomas de Oro, sweaty and lean, almost a part of the idol chopper that glistened in the oily firelight.
Right.
A man who they say speaks to devils and walks with the dead. So here is this the first, besides Argent, this is the first supernatural stuff that we've come across.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. This is great because it can move from a literary manuscript, a nonfiction literary manuscript about the New York publishing world to straight up zombie voodoo.
Yeah. And I mean, we eventually come to learn that the world of Grendel is a supernatural world, a world with vampires and zombies and robots and all that stuff. So
And immortal werewolves.
yeah, exactly.
So
Absolutely. So they're like, dude, we need help. We need to kill the devil. Like, so it's implied too that Grendel is referred to or seen as this like demonic presence, not so much as like a Batman type or something that's like a crime fighter or a vigilante or something like that. Obviously he is crime, but they look at him as this supernatural, like he is the devil. This is the devil. I know that, it's how it seems. Yeah. And so they're like, we have a serious fucking problem, a business enemy who's vowed to destroy me. And so he's like, I'll tell you what you need, is what Benito says.
Yeah, he's smoking his Pall Mall.
Oh, now that's definitely a joint. That is a huge
cone. It's a cone, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a sushi hand roll.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very cool.
I want to kill the devil. And so they bring him some little totems in order so that he can get his like incantation going.
Looks like a scrap of the costume.
Yep. That he had to pay out the wazoo for. Mm-hmm. And then
and Toro says it feels good.
It feels good. What else?
Great. Okay.
They found a photo. You need these little things to cast a spell. You need to be able to look into the person, and you need like something that they owned or touched their body.
Look at the credit on the photo.
P. Parker.
What? Crossover.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Don't call Disney. You're gonna be a lawsuit here. I even though it's blurry, it's the best they got. I really like the Pander brothers Hunter Rose here.
Yeah,
I love the like light bulb shaped head.
With
the narrow chin.
Really, yeah,
the youthful narrow chin. I like it. Anyway, so killing him with using this voodoo method, it won't be easy. It's going to cost you. I need 2 days to prepare. Come back. We'll discuss the price. And they're like, can you stay along that line? He's like, well, I guess I'll have to.
I'm going to have to try.
So
he heads to a hotel.
They walk away, and Toro sits there with his shrunken heads being a creep.
Yeah, super creep. And so then there he goes on about his next 2 days, basically doing cocaine, watching TV, smoking a bunch of cigarettes, robbing, or just like even pointing guns at whoever comes in, seemingly paying the pizza guy extra to like keep shut up. Don't tell anyone I'm here.
Yeah. Notice that we're now on a grid with very little overlap breaking. There's no panel borders being broken.
Right.
So like the pace changes really, really quickly. Like the hunker down and like sweat it out. Like he's literally sweating out the clock in that first panel.
Exactly.
And you can feel the time slowing down.
Right. And like
really,
him,
really
it takes
cool.
forever. And exactly as a testament to earlier when it's so frantic and breaking the lines, everything's moving so fast that it comes across.
Yeah, so the contrast is really, really tight. And the other thing that always struck me with these is that the clock panels, and I don't mean this pejoratively, have kind of a clip art quality to them.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's almost, the alarm clock is very, Bernie Moreau.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's out of the jam. But they're very, very graphic and very flat. And I always got a kick out of that.
Yeah. And then we return back after 2 days later, and it's back to that pace. It's back to the craziness, and we see Benito, summoning the jaguar spirit, and He's got a fire going. He's got like the drawings, like mandalas on the ground. He's got, ancient words and designs
Voodoo
painted.
dolls.
Yeah.
Yeah. While his meth head lackeys kind of lurk in the shadows.
Yeah, they're kind of like these zombified almost dudes, and he's like, "Silence, Mon! I need you both to spit and then piss on this figure." So it must be like it's like a little Grendel doll.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know why the spitting is necessary. I love the panel of them kind of sword fighting on the doll
it's funny.
in front of the guy. It's a
he's
very,
like, I just wanted to see your dicks.
Very, very funny. All right, now toss him in the fire for my magic to work.
Right.
Yeah, he spent all that
really
time
cool.
making the doll. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh man.
Maybe it's one of the graffiti action figures though. He could have just ordered it online.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Well, I hear if you order one, they give you the other.
Speaking of which, please write in, give us a 5-star review, and you could win the Christine Spar action figure.
It has to be 5 stars. We're not playing.
5 stars.
We're not playing here.
A good review on iTunes. We'll see.
Anyway, the camera cranes up and tilts down, and there's Grendel in the rafters.
Yep.
Chilling and waiting.
He was following him, and he must have been there earlier. He must have known the game that was going on and been like, I kind of want to see how this plays out or something, because he kind of comes in right on cue. Yeah,
well, my guess, and the guy Rusty Snells and Perseus or whoever his guy's name is, Grendel shows up. Diablo Grendel, what the F?
Oh my God! Yeah, he looks insane.
Yeah, he looks crazy.
He looks like a different, like a Grendel Tales Grendel or something, like a different.
Yeah, like a Teddy Christensen one.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really, really spooky with the super long, like almost gray alien shaped eyes.
Oh yeah.
And I think that Rusty says, you voodoo man, you set us up. And I think that Grendel was in with Toro the whole time.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do. And I think that because I'm pretty sure that Toro plays a role in Behold the Devil.
Ah, okay.
This is not the first time that Hunter and Toro's paths cross. He does his bidding. He does his bidding there. Anyway, there's this wild scene where even with this machine gun, they can't get a beat on him. He's moving so fast. Grendel takes out Rusty with one swipe, and then the 3 zombies just take the other dude out, eat him up.
Mm-hmm. And the dude Benito, he's just kind of still chilling. He's like sitting on the ground. He's like just doing it. He's going about his stuff still. He's probably like in a trance. I think he's like in a.
I think he's just on the payroll. Grendel asks him, "What do you owe the devil, my friend?" Ha. I don't call on the devil lest I'm asked to, and that's the debt he's already laid down. Not by Toro though, no man. And then I think he bows down.
It does look like that
to Grendel.
He does. And
then he says, "I'll take the heads if you don't need them."
Yeah.
for my voodoo.
Right.
So they've been in cahoots the whole.
Seems like yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, Hunter knows everybody. Hunter knew Barry Jean, the low-level pornographer.
Right. And Grendel doesn't leave people alive usually that see him. If you see Grendel, you're probably not going to be alive.
Right. So unless you're useful to him. So it's if we're in a legitimate supernatural world and there's a legitimate supernatural voodoo priest living in an oil refinery who has ties to organized crime, Hunter knows him. Yeah.
Grendel gonna know.
This one's really good.
Good one. Yeah.
It would definitely benefit from being a little bit longer because the pace is so quick, and like we're kind of wrestling with the meaning of it at the end.
Right.
So maybe 4 more pages would have helped out. I don't know.
And so this was after the Christine Spar stuff they did. That's what we were saying. This came out in 1998. This is like
13 years.
Okay.
At least 10 years afterwards.
Okay.
And so the style is totally different.
It definitely grew.
And 22 years later, their style is also totally different.
Exactly. Like if
Right?
you, they got a new book, Dissident X, that they've been working on. I think that just came out recently. It's good. You should check it out. It's definitely like a punky style, but also kind of like this, like those 80s futura kind of thing, it's like, it's very cool.
These are guys that work in lots of different creative fields.
Right. They do a lot of
film
design
and
work
advertising, illustration, design,
Right.
all this stuff. So like comics, like, yeah, they can do comics, and they've got this huge part of one of comics' crown jewels, this book.
Right.
So like, it's no surprise that when they dip in and out and back and forth, that they want to, like Matt, reinvent themselves aesthetically.
Makes sense.
Every time. So
yeah, it's cool that they work together too. They're brothers.
Yeah.
And,
very, very cool.
They're a good follow on Facebook, and also they're right now on their Etsy. They've got Christine Spar pages for sale between $200 and $400, I believe they are.
Whoa!
Yeah.
So where's your Christine Spar page?
I don't have one.
Oh my!
I don't have a Grendel page. I have a Mage page.
You do? We'll talk later.
All right.
What's it from? Which series is it
from? It's from the newest series. It's from issue 1, and it's a really cool a panel that Matt had told me he drew after a photo of him and Brennan. It's like Mage
in the woods, in the park.
In the woods, yeah. And there's like a bird that flies in. It's a cool page.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
very cool. And that takes us to our last tale.
That's right. The Devil's Coup.
Mm-hmm.
Cuckoo, Cachoo.
Now you have to give me. Let's try to refresh ourselves on Teddy Boy Chacon. What do we recall? He's in Primer 2. He's the antagonist in the very first Grendel story.
Okay.
Which is about, if I recall, is about Hunter taking over one of the Chacon family in New York. Okay. I don't remember exactly how he does it. Remember, it was that panel where Teddy Boy's standing here, and then there's 9 panels.
Yeah, okay.
And Grendel kind of lays out Grendel's standing here and lays out how it's gonna go down, and Teddy's face changes as he kind of realizes that he has no move against this guy.
Right.
So this story kind of retcons that, but still plays with the idea that there is a turning point in young Grendel's career where he goes from assassin for hire to leadership, Dawn leadership position.
Right.
And this is sort of how that goes down, I think.
And another very creative storytelling way, which it kind of seems like someone's making like a dossier of articles and photos and collage
literally clipping things out of the newspaper.
Many words are cut right off. A lot of the times you can make out what they're saying. I mean, you can read, you can know what it says by only seeing the top half of the word usually. And so that's very cool. And we get this 4-panel thing at the bottom where it's just his face and Grendel's fork. He's like, kind of lifts his head up like that. It's really cool.
This is The Devil's Coup
by Matt Wagner and Timothy Bradstreet.
Wow, yeah. Do we need to do a little bit of Bradstreet?
Yeah, let's go down the Bradstreet.
All right, so there's like 4 things I can mention. I think that Bradstreet was with Tim Truman in the gaming industry in the 80s.
Okay.
He may have done. I think I have. What's it called? Shadowrun. I think I have a Shadowrun book that he.
He worked on Dragon Chiang too, didn't he?
And he's like an inker or an assistant on Dragon Chiang. Yeah. So they went back, and the first time I saw his stuff like live was like doing covers on Punisher Max. I think like a Garth Ennis Punisher.
Okay.
Kind of thing, and
nice.
It definitely fits in quite well with the David Max story that we were looking at last week, because it looks to me like there's a lot of photo reference going on in this, and he's very effective at doing lots of detail, really seedy imagery, but also really good simple storytelling Really, really good storytelling staging.
Yeah,
With
I agree.
the way that the images are arranged and composed and conceived.
Agreed.
Cool. So our first clipping is Chacon family under investigation. Wow, they're a major New York crime force,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got importing, commercial trucking, coin-operated vending machines, etc.
Importing, exporting. They're importer exporters.
Yeah. What else do you need to know?
Yeah.
They claim they're legit. Everyone knows that they're not.
No.
And at the bottom, we've got, like you said, Grendel kind of putting the fork to get him to bend the knee.
Exactly. He's not forking around and right there.
Yeah.
Next one we have is Chacon denies racketeering charges. So he doesn't have a cool mask and some sort of jetpack that he's flying around. He's not.
He's not the rocketeer, and he's also not a racketeer.
That's gosh.
Yeah. So the plot here is that there is a giant shipment of Russian-made assault weapons that are coming through an Israeli arms dealer named Abe Hirsch.
Mm-hmm.
And they're being the sale is being facilitated supposedly by Teddy Boy and his buddies. But they say, oh, no such things happened. And so the documents that accompany is a Port of Manhattan docking receipt received by the Chacon Importing, 75 crates of porcelain statuary. Oh, sounds legit.
Sure.
And the customs from Belgium and the customs docks it all checked out. Everything's legit.
Yep, and they got photo evidence too. 3 photos of them coming out and shaking hands with some people.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. It looks like in one of these photos they're posing, and another one they're saying, "Get this guy out of my face." And if you look in the bottom left, what do you see in the bottom left behind Teddy Boy's knee?
Oh yeah, it's like a letter or like a telegram, Western Union. Shipment has arrived. Schedule delivery, please. Payment yours, Leonard Wenser.
Yeah. Ooh, Wenser. Who's Leonard Wenser? Oh my goodness.
No. Wenser damn near killed her.
Yeah.
Is that the joke? No. Wenser, I hardly know her.
Wenser runs a Midwestern neo-Nazi group.
Got it.
That bought these weapons, and the weapons found their way into the hands of 3 unemployed coal miners who used them in a bungled daylight heist. Anyway, they got them from the United Front, a 10-year-old Nazi organization that Wenser runs. He's a reclusive demagogue, and they've staved off attempts to conduct a search of their paramilitary compound. So we've got photos of like Nazi propaganda. We've got Wenser in his
full regalia,
full-on shit. And then there's a fax from Chacon Trucking, received by Leonard Wenser, 75 crates of porcelain statuary, paid in full.
Generator parts.
Oh, generator, yeah. Very cool.
For this receipt. And then it looks like he's got a book. He wrote a book, Outcast of Eden.
Yeah, not just one. There's a few of them. Are you tired of the ZOG, which is the Zionist occupationalist government?
Wow.
The white race cannot tolerate this occupationalist government. To learn more about this, the forces unknowingly shaping your life send for the following pamphlets: Chosen of God, The Next World and Its Rulers, Outcast of Eden, and Hollywood Zion. And so Outcast.
So he writes racist pamphlets.
He writes bullshit, yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess Outcast of Eden is a play on John Steinbeck's East of Eden.
Maybe. Which
I know is the title of a book. I don't know what it's about. So.
Next one, we have The Adult Star Goes Legit. And this features our final sex scene of this week, as she is a porn star. Portia Hines, a former porn star turned disco queen, was finding her options rather limited these days, since forswearing the world of adult films in a career in singing. Portia, now Maria Gonzalez, had enjoyed one out-of-the-gate chart-topping hit, followed by a string of descending flops. Still, her luck seemed to have turned since finding a sugar daddy in the form of one Teddy Boy Chacon. So he finds himself a nice porn star.
Yeah, but that's really on the side, because all of the Chacon like family businesses are co-owned between he and his wife.
Ah, right.
So that's the leverage that Grendel uses, just like he did on The Attorney. He had
Right.
blackmail smut photos or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's happened.
I think you're right. And we've got some receipts. Actually, yeah, it says account overdue $17,000. So, she was really looking for someone to help her out.
Yeah, and that's just lingerie. It would appear
At the boutique Bonsoir.
Yeah, sure. God,
and here's one of her videotape cassettes, Flesh from the Farm.
Great. The photo referencing on this central figure on the face is deeply disturbing to me.
It is.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I feel like, what am I going to do? Tell Tim Bradstreet how to do his job? Like, fuck me. But like, this is a really weird face.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's demanding, and it's powerful, and it's like looking right into your soul.
Yeah. I don't know. The hair is like kind of gross looking and
a little greasy. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been a big fan. Anyway, the plot continues to thicken on the next page. We're introduced. So Abraham Hirsch was the arms dealer. There's a special Mossad agent named Irving Jacobs who supposedly untangles some of this stuff with the arms dealing. And Irving Jacobs, whose like code name is Red Ringo Jake, was supposedly dispatched by Mossad to put out a contract on Teddy, and so he hires Grendel in order to do that. This is where like the crime plotting really starts going over my head a little bit. So there's an airline, like a boarding pass.
You got really lucky getting that flight 666.
Oh yeah. Oh wow. I didn't see that. And he's sitting right by the bathroom too, so that sucks.
Yeah.
One-way ticket. And you can see his like, God, Grendel must have, if you want to contact Grendel, you put out like a personal in like the Village Voice or something.
Mm.
The personal is black and white. That's Grendel. Big fish needs services rendered. Double fee for guaranteed success. Please contact via Hastings Arms Hotel. Red. Okay.
Black,
so
white,
red. So red is Special Mossad Agent Irving Jacobs. Okay.
Red Ringo Jake.
Right.
Oh wait. Yeah, Irving Jacobs. Red, Ringo, Jake. What's that mean? He had 3 different names.
I think that's either an alias or that's like a code name or that's
like a as or something.
Ringo Jake Red Ringo RRJ. I don't know.
And he's got his whiskey and his Marlboros and a gun, and he's sitting there with his shot glass waiting.
Yeah. This is really interesting because on the next page it shifts from these headlines to Hunter's logs.
Right.
And this is the first time that we've, in black, white, and red, that we've gotten another look into Hunter's logs.
And it's always shown as like in cursive. It is what kind of clues the reader into that it's like Hunter's logs.
Grendel realizes that, what he wants is not necessarily to take a double fee on a Teddy Boy Chacon hit, but actually to leverage the situation to take over what's actually a very fine crime organization. It just needs the right leader. Who better for the job than Grendel?
Exactly. Right. And so he's like, okay, tables are turning, bros. This is what makes Hunter Rose the genius that he is, where he looks a couple steps ahead. He's always thinking ahead. And so he's trying to tell Teddy Boy like what's about to happen. And it's like he even stands up to a personal threat. And there's this great panel here of old Teddy Boy, like Grendel's got him by the neck, and Teddy Boy's like, what?
Yeah, right.
And Grendel's like, dude, what? All right, I'm gonna have to do something a little different here.
Yeah, he does his typical MO, the old porno blackmail switcheroo.
Yep.
It
Eventually,
would seem.
he acquiesced.
Right. Yeah, he had done. What do you say? He applied pressure with a kidnapping and a bodyguard murder.
Mm-hmm.
All right, big deal.
Applying the pressure.
Right. Anyway, the Chacon investigation is called off.
It's called right off.
With the right leadership and Godfather, string pulling, you can get the feds off your case, it would seem.
Yep. This move at last exonerates our clients as law-abiding members of this community. It's an unexpected development, but it in no way affects the continuing police efforts to weed out organized crime. In fact, sources claim that they are now looking into the emergence of a new, as yet unidentified force controlling the latest waves in mob activity.
Yeah, and just in case you were concerned about the Chacones sending 75 crates of assault weapons to neo-Nazis in the Midwest, he makes a $1 million donation to the B'nai B'rith organization.
Yes, he does.
So it's
Very
all good.
Nice. Thank you.
It's all good.
Yeah, the search continues for the missing adult film star Portia Hines. And Hunter Rose recently commented, well, she's always been a little bit missing. It's just that usually she's naked as well. So Hunter Rose he does interviews, and he's prickly. He's smart, and he's witty, and he knows everyone, and he's not afraid to kind of poke barbs.
Yeah, it's like a public figure who gets interviewed. I don't know, like the way like Stephen King, the author, makes political commentary from time to time.
Right.
Or Noam Chomsky, chimes in to tell you, except here it's a 19-year-old, telling you what's going on.
Right.
Or
I feel like people are constantly thinking he's older. He not only is he always drawn a little bit older, it's like he's just a person who comes off probably as 25 or something.
Well, it's like Zuckerberg, I guess. I don't know.
He does. He's older, but he's not.
Well, he's not that old.
No, he's our age.
He's not that old, but he was making these public. He was a public figure by the time he was 20 years old.
Right. True.
And then in the lower left of this, we've also got another lock of hair. I'm not sure whose hair. It's definitely not Portia Hines's, because when we saw Portia Hines, her hair was greasy and stringy and gross. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but I do like the story a lot. And I think there's one more page.
There's one more page. Israeli citizen found slain in Midtown Hotel. Mysterious Grendel influence grows. This
is Red Ringo star Irving Jackson, or whatever his name was.
Right.
Special Mossad agent. Not a Mossad agent. He's just an Israeli citizen who was posing as a Mossad agent. So a young Israeli man suspected of cocaine trafficking was found brutally murdered in his hotel room yesterday. Irving Jacobs is thought to have died from several severe stab wounds, which is not Grendel's usual murder MO.
No.
Right?
Unless numerous stab wounds.
Right? Unless he's interrogating you, right?
Right.
Right? So if he wants you dead, he does it in one stroke. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, I hadn't thought of that.
Anyway, so they found drugs and fake passports from all over the world, including a fake Mossad ID. Including Israeli Secret Service ID. The Mossad deny any knowledge of this guy's actions, claim he was not an agent. Maybe he was. Doesn't look like he was.
Yeah. And they've included a Hastings Arms Hotel matchbook, a photo of a dove. A dove on fire.
No, that's a swan.
A swan on fire.
That's a swan in Central Park. No, it's
it's just the shading.
It just looks like it's on fire because it was traced from a photograph.
Got it.
I didn't notice the matchbook. I maybe because the border isn't thick enough for me. I thought it was like an 80s IBM or something like that.
Oh, okay.
An 80s Mac. Yeah. So the Hastings Arms Hotel is mentioned in Irving Jacobs's ad.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because that's where he's staying. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyway, so Mysterious Grendel influence grows. Urgent targets cocaine smugglers. So this is this story, this wicked web of crime that's weaved across countries and ideologies and oceans and all that, is really this turning point where Hunter goes from being an assassin to willing himself, dominating the crime scene to become a major player.
Exactly.
It's
which is a big move,
good.
which is like a huge thing for Hunter.
Yeah, it's good. It's tough. You know, in terms of clarity, the devil in the punctuation is head and shoulders the clearest what's going on here.
It is. It's amazing.
You know? And clarity for me as a comics reader is king.
Agreed. It was a clear, concise story. It was an interesting like rise and fall. An interesting side that we were wondering about is like, you know, the literary agent or like who publishes these books and stuff. Yeah. So it was really interesting.
Yeah. So we see, across these four, we get Troy Nixey with this wonderful, the old switcheroo on Grendel as young assassin, Hunter lurking in the background. We've talked to hell about Kush and the devils in punctuation. We've got the Pander brothers coming back for one more frenetic Nolans voodoo zombie romp.
Yep.
And Tim Bradstreet taking it to the streets.
Ooh, and those streets be Brad, my friend. Next week, we're coming back with The Devil's Witness by Woodrow Phoenix. We've got Devil's Vagary by Dean Motter. The Devil's Labyrinth by Guy Davis.
Ooh, one of my favorites.
Oh, it's going to be big. I have the Devil's Vagary original. I'll show that. Yeah. I'll pull that out.
That one has no cover?
No, it doesn't. Well, it has a cover, but it's like it starts immediately into the story.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But that's like a double-sized story. So we'll end on Guy Davis.
Okay.
I guess. I mean.
Yeah, we'll figure it out when we get there.
Who's to say? Anything can happen on this show.
The devil is in detail.
There's no structure here. Anything could happen.
Yeah, it can and will. Here on The Devil in Detail, I'm Eli Schwab.
VIVAT GRENDEL, because I'm Ben.
VIVAT GRENDEL. Until next week. VIVAT! Good stuff.
I lived out from Reno, I was trailed by 20 hounds. Didn't get to sleep that night till the morning come around. Said I'm running, but I take my time. A friend of the devil is a friend of mine. I get home before daylight, I just might get some sleep.